Welcome back to the most professional StarCraft 2 with the 9-time GSL champion, the Terran in the blue, the man, the myth, the Maru. Facing off against Cyril's greatest stunt double, the Rocky Zerg in the red. We have Solar in a best-of-3 Terran versus Zerg showdown as part of the $20,000 Rongyi Cup put on by the SC boys. And before we get started, it'd be incredible if you could smash that like button or maybe even subscribe. Help me kind of the algorithm. And Jimmy, what are we? 1,789 likes on this video, on this cast, and I'll cast another one. And I'll probably do it anyways because I don't know what else I'd do with my life. But thank you for watching. Hopefully, you've had a good day so far. And hopefully it's about to get just a little bit better. As the first Lings and drones gonna bear the brunt of the attention of the first Reaper, Maru already has 2 command centers in production, well before the factory is even completed. Mostly because he's not going for one at all. 3 command centers, 1 Rax, 2 barracks, 1 Reaper, and 0 cares in the world. At least for now, for Maru. Solar, the hard part is not guessing whether Maru will be greedy. The hard part is guessing how greedy. What is he trying to get away with? There's a 3 Rax behind it. So it's just going to be a bunch of Marines, a bunch of dudes with drugs and guns, a time-honored strategy for the Terrans, and more accurate, to be honest. Double engineering bay. I would say he can't keep getting away with it, but Maru has been playing more in the last few weeks than he has in, it feels like, in the last few years. And he's carving his own path, once again setting himself apart from his French counterpart. Less focused on that pinpoint micro in the early game and making sure he's in an incredible and maybe even unbreakable position in the later game. Now, Solar has no way of knowing for sure that this is a mass Marine play. And that's why the Zerglings come in. They're going to try to get the wraparound. He saw a few Marines, which is not a tell, but it does help Solar kind of figure out what direction Maru's going. But the Overlords... no pervert pillar nearby, just something outside the third. A Zergling gonna try to slip in. The sheer amount of Marines gives away, and the lack of Hellions. That's information in and of itself. Like, when people don't like and subscribe, I notice I'm like, well, that's disappointing. And right now, it's not gonna be disappointing for Solar, as dealing with those early Hellions is potentially a game-ending pain. But now you have to figure out when the next attack is coming. It's going to be Marines. Is it with Medivacs? Is it just a straight-up stim timing? The Zerglings and the Overlord in position to see it when it comes out. But by the time it comes out of the base, it may already be too late. That's part of the defense here for Maru, is the ambiguity of this build. There's no way for Solar to scout it, so he's just got to cover all his bases in the most literal sense. The Queen's already pushing the creep out. That is what you sacrifice in this sort of scenario. There is no control of the creep. There is no, at least, easy way to deal with the bases. So Maru is, as he so often does, focused on his own side of things, his own build, his own strategy, and Solar, as one of the best macro Zergs in the world, is very unlikely to risk trying to break it early with imperfect information. The lair is on the way. And besides that first Reaper, which didn't even die, nothing has died. What a beautiful game so far. No rush, 5 minutes and counting. But with players of this caliber, that means they're just building up to a more dramatic attack, as opposed to deciding that negotiations and diplomacy are the way to go. Already 64 drones for Solar. He's got 2 hatcheries on the way. He's just gonna take his side of the map. It'll be most of the bases in that southeast corner will be completed by the time Maru even thinks about moving out. He's got his first 2 medevacs on the way, a 4th command center in production. He's about to have 5 racks online. The double engineering bay completed. Is there an armory? Of course there is. The armory and the upgrades, and especially for Marines, which have a tendency to fire very quickly because apparently the stims allow them to pull the trigger. You know, the lore reason, in my mind, which I don't really care about, but people seem to, is that's how they control the recoil or something. all right? That's why stims help them fire faster. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to get all their infinite bullets on target. Unfortunately, that Overseer well within their sights. And it's going to go down. Solar's played Maru enough lately that he has to know that the attack is coming. And if he wasn't sure before, he should be now. The Zergling scouts it, stimming forward. The Queens will retreat. 1-1 is already completed. So these Marines are a real threat, especially before Baneling speed is done. Usually until then, they don't have their +5 HP. They just become target practice for most Terrans. But Baneling speed in 1 second, and Maru doing nothing more than sweeping away the very edges of the creep, which is mildly to moderately inconveniencing Solar, but not much more than that. Spots more medevacs, and he's pushing up a little bit further. But for now, how rude. No, Susan, not now. It was rude. No. Shut up, Brenda. Sorry. All right. Black Devil. A Hydraless Den is completed, and Solar at 87 drones, which is about as many as you'd ever want against a Terran. If you go too high, then your army supply is simply not enough to compete with theirs. But for now, the Marines jammed in between a rock and a hard place. A single Zergling. The first kill for Solar is 1 SCV, and now still hasn't been able to touch the Marines. The Hydra slithering along, but going for the range upgrade first. Solar is focused on defense as opposed to offense. Unfortunately, he missed the mark in a double drop over to the right flank. He's target firing the hatchery, though decides on the Zerglings later on. The Widow Mine's locked on, but Solar reacted in time. A double drop. The Spore's not able to zone out. A Lurker Den is already on the way. The Hive is completed, but Solar not being stingy at all. He's getting all the upgrades. The Lurker Den is in kind of a precarious position here, though. Could get picked off. A few Marines will be melted away as finally Maru loses track of some of this. Picks right back up, drops it back down, do the hokey pokey and drop them all about. And Zerglings looking to engage, but without Banelings, the Marines behind the mineral line and with an upgrade advantage are almost impossible to dislodge. And another hatchery canceled. The Queens unhappy about it, but unable to do much. And that drone desperately tried to build another hatchery, but the Zerglings blocked it. The Queens are off a creep, and Maru scaling up the pressure, and Solar's had no opportunity to turn it around. We got some Widowmines mixed in. The Marines and the Marauders bearing down on the 4th base over to the 3 o'clock. The creep spread has been stalled out and pushed back. Somehow the Reaper survived, and will do... Oh. A parasitic bomb and spore crawler will take out one of the medevacs, but the Widowmon's gonna slam the point home. And those dangerous breadcrumbs will follow the Zerglings across the map. Target fires a creep tumor, loses most of the Marines, but acceptable losses here for Maru. Reinforcements come to the front, and this is starting to become more and more costly for both sides. Leads him back into the minefield, but drags him within range of the Marines and Marauders. So Solar doing a good job diffusing the situation, but Drilling Claws is done. He could really use Overlord speed as well. Maru now 4 bases going on 5. He's got 80 SCVs. +3 attack is on the way, but somewhat uncharacteristically missed that armor upgrade. Probably didn't have the resources when he started it. But the Lurker Den! He put it in the back corner of his main. You had one... Okay, you have like 74 jobs, but of all the places to put the Lurker Den, it's the thing that gets picked off first. Did he even get Lurker range? No! No Lurker upgrades. Delayed further. More drops than a Skrinix album right now out of Maru. He drops the other 4th base. The 3rd base again. Back into the main. And back into the 4th. But the Hydras. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's a disaster. 4 medevacs down for Maru. He couldn't keep track of his own drops. And now he's in trouble. Oh, what a... And just like that, this is a high-risk, high-reward strategy. And Maru lost track of it. He lost 4 medevacs, the other drops. That allows Solar to focus on the other drops and finally take them out. Solar more than willing to sacrifice the Zerglings by the dozen, by the 100 even, if it means maintaining his economy. And now with the parasitic bombs, Maru doing such a great job of being in the right place at the right time, but the moment he isn't, he suffers dramatically for it. More Widowmons going up, +3 infantry weapons completed. Maru with +3 armor on the way. I told you, the longer no rush between these two, the more dramatic the next phase will be. And despite 8 minutes of nothing, over the last 2 minutes. Solar has actually destroyed slightly more. Those medevacs tilting the scales. 144 Zerglings destroyed by Maru, 21 Banes, but only a couple Hydras, a couple Queens, and several of his own units were adding to the tally. I'm not sure if that counts for the actual loss count, but the map is being split in twain. We now finally, that Lurker den in a more manageable position. The Lurkers themselves as well. As the game slows down by necessity, but not enough to stop Maru from taking out the base to the 6 o'clock position. Ghost Academy is on the way, somewhat begrudgingly, I feel, for Maru, but as he battens down the hatches and retreats somewhat back into his shell, but keeping the pressure on all sides. Solar takes out the Widowmine, blocking the base. He'll drive back the drops. And Maru he's lost that one SCV to the... Not again! Oh, the drops. But will Solar... I mean, a Parasitic Bomb might be... Is it enough? I think so. 125 damage. Exactly. Yep, enough to take out one. The other quarantined. And now the creep is stretching well over halfway across the map. The Zerglings, almost 100 of them in the attack. And, well, Maru jams himself into a perfect position to maximize the effectiveness of these Marauders. We see more and more that finally lifts off moments before and denies the base to the south. But again, Solar has been building up a... They'll expect some of us in the wreckage, brother. Oh, rude? A drop in the very back. A single ghost sounding the alarm. But, nope. One ghost is not going to be enough to take this out. Maru not reacting. And the first counter-attack really into Maru's base will be devastating. This is so hard to dislodge without Mass Ghost or Liberator. He has one ghost. He has a couple siege tanks, but the armory is in trouble. He's going to stim, but now he's taken off the map. Solar will jump into position and try to rip down the planetary, but he's caught between a rock and a hard place over here. Has to stream through. More bio coming down. Finally deals with the Nidus, but the Hydraslings and Banes are rolling through. There's the Vipers above. Blinding Cloud to zone out. Rips apart the planetary fortress and runs away, or lunges away, rather, with the Hydralisk. And Solar gaining more and more and more of the map simultaneously, while he still has so much money in the bank. Another Nidus, but this time the siege tank is in range to cover the vast majority of the main, and the Overseer will be spotted. He has Overlord speed, of course, now, and all the other fixins. Does he have Burrow? No. That's kind of an important fixin'. All right, that's like salt or pepper. Or ranch dressing, if you ask my family. I didn't... But, hell yeah, brother. Spire is on the way. And Corruptors, the clear choice for dealing with a potentially air-supported army, but in Broodlords, dare I hint, as the siege tanks and Widowmines not nearly as effective against them. Quite an attack. The Widowmines taken out. And Solar is maxed out with money in the bank. He's going to kill a lot more of these SCVs and drive right in between the infrastructure. The lunge. There's a Nidus up to the north. 14 SCVs dead. The Banelings closing with the Ghosts. There's still full energy on the Viper, as well as multiple Overseers to make sure no Widowmines or Ghosts remain undetected. And the map just continues to be gathered and overrun by Solar. As Maru, he stood back and played a defensive game so far, but he's lost as many resources as the Zerg. That's simply unsustainable. Double planetary defense. Lurkers in the natural, the vast majority of the bio comes back to defend, but he's going to be losing both planetaries over to the 9 o'clock, and with it a bunch of the SCVs as well. Solar is systematically dismantling the Terran. He was given the economy to do so, and despite the pressure Maru put on, the only damage was superficial. Was but a flesh wound. Losing a few hundred Zerglings there, a few hatcheries there. The fact is, Solar already had the level of economy and production to overrun the map. And Maru, well, he has 145 army supply, which is something Solar simply can't match. We're at that phase where there's still enough economy, and the mules are shoring it up as well Solar may want to consider taking out the Valley of Death in the center here with a few choice sets of ice or rocks that are blocking off. Always good to get rid of as soon as possible. The Zerglings. Maru thinking about another base here, but doesn't have that iron bank of orbital commands. He has 5 of them, which seems good, but you absolutely must have the scans in order to deal with it. The Lurkers are an existential threat, even though there's only a few of them. He doesn't know that for sure. Scans the army, blinding cloud on the siege tanks, Lings and Banes to zone out the bio. Not the most cost-effective fight here, as a few Hydras are going to get tailed on the way out. And Maru with 150 army supply. He needs to get something done soon, as Solar has absolutely everything. He has something like 8 or 9 bases. The top right corner, the bottom left, 3/4 of the way to the 4 corners bingo strategy that is obviously so critical at this stage of the game. And there's a non-zero chance that a Nidus in the main could take that as well. But Maru has an incredibly difficult army to outright beat, especially for someone who has a singular Viper and 0 Infestors, which is not very many. So far, 535 Zerglings dead. Kind of feels like just the... Oh, no, what are you doing? Lunging through the rocks down the center. And Maru is so good once he gets his set-piece army. Thing is, Solar's never going to let him hold a position. Solar's doing a great job of keeping him on the back foot. Every step he takes forward, he has to take at least a few dozen back. And Maru, again, going to lose some SCVs and struggle to mine from the base, though he's managed to make his way all the way forward. The siege tank line runs deep, over about a quarter of the map now. 12 SCVs dead. Another counterattack, but this time Maru's ready. Shuts it down immediately. And, well, we're starting to dry up here. The main base is mining out. The gas is gone on 1. +2 flyer attack is on the way. The ghosts lining up their shots, and the first volley will knock out a bunch of the Hydralisks. Meanwhile, the Lings and Banes over to the left flank. The siege tank gonna take big bites out of it. But Solar, quantity has a quality all its own. And more, I don't even know if SCVs are, well, you want more than 40 usually. Even at this stage, he's gonna come right through the center. Maru pulled back all the bio. And the Whittle minefield and the tanks are gonna be cleared out. The Hydras and Lings just gutting the tank line. And right now, Maru doesn't have the mech upgrades that Terrans would love to when they go for this more Brood War-esque bio into mech switch. He doesn't have... He only has +2 mech armor. And did the armory die? No, it didn't die to the counterattack. But the Lurkers finding an opportunity. Maru with a few more command centers out there. Liberators have joined the field, only a couple of them, but still something to contend with directly. The Ghosts will cloak, but an Overseer's here. It's faster than the Ghosts themselves. They'll get ripped to shreds, I say. Another half dozen Ghosts or more will die as dramatically as possible. And the Planetary... No repair or not enough. 15 more SCVs dead. Another command center torn asunder. And Solar back at 200 supply. The 300 supply Zerg, where 100 supply of army is sent into the fray and rebuilt by the time the fight is over. How many hatcheries? This will only be the second hatchery taken out. Kind of rare for Solar, but I guess several of them were taken out while they were building. And speaking of bases taken down, a couple more command centers, orbital commands. Maru has lost 4 planetaries and 2 orbitals. The bio army still making some progress. And the Liberators cutting things off down the center. Solar still has... He doesn't have the larva. He doesn't have the injects, the queens. Getting a little lazy over there. What's it to you? I don't... The Liberators are re-sieging, the siege tanks remaining. But without the bio to cover, eventually the Zerglings can overrun them. The majority of the army sent to the right side will have to retreat for now. Another few rounds of Zerglings, but the lack of despite having 8 hatcheries, now 7. He doesn't have the production to rebuild. 5,800 gas, or 5,800 minerals, 5,300 gas in the bank. Maru, wow, in the last minute, Maru has destroyed 8,000 minerals. Only 1,100 gas to 3K 200. Zerglings, 25 SCVs left for Maru. But he's kept most of the army. He's got 10 ghosts, 10 medevacs. The Liberators, finally, Liberators 10, 12 kills, mostly Zerglings, so it could be worse. It certainly could be better. Not a single infester so far out of Solar. So, and no burrow. So he hasn't been able to keep those units or threaten baneling mines or something like that. There's only, okay, I was going to say there's only, but there's 5 orbital commands. So enough to scan quite regularly. The army supply is still in favor of Maru as he only has 26 SCVs. He has nothing in the bank, trying to close in. The creep will help springboard up to the high ground. The medevacs are only good if you can keep the units alive through the fight. But Maru! Oh my. Where was that Nidus? It sounded close. It was, okay. Maybe just to stress him out, but a lot of the drones are vulnerable here as well. 10 more drones will be rebuilt by Solar. Who's looks like the top right corner was taken out. There's some Widow Mines, but Maru refused. Oh, the escape! No, let us in! Let us in! No! A massacre of the defenseless drones. The base he was building, Burrow is denied. And Solar, the master of the late game, is struggling in the end game. Maru, the chess master, refuses to die. Despite having almost literally no economy. 2 Zerglings get in and will gut, bringing Maru down to almost the worker count he started with. He has well, Solar's income has plummeted as well. The Widow Mines will help take out the SCVs. Solar is down to 1,3,200. If there was ever a time, those infestors, he didn't notice that Burrow was denied, and not getting Burrow earlier may cost him some of those infestors, or at least the element of surprise. The most dangerous of them all. Oh no, the Viper! Solar scrambling. 2 more Vipers on the way. But with Maru having all these ghosts, lines up the shots, but he actually just waved his rapid-fire snipe, so didn't end up hitting the infestors. I think some Zerglings went down. The Fungal's on the front line, but Maru stands his ground, recognizes an opportunity to move forward. There's not enough DPS. The Fungal comes out, but it only inconvenienced those ghosts. As the medevacs are overhead, Maru never got a fusion core. He never got the Caduceus reactor, the advanced ballistics upgrades. So he doesn't have that. Oh, the queens are in the Nidus. Not, but why? It's cozier in there. I don't know. What are the queens? The queens went in the Nidus, came back out the other side of the Nidus network, and are now re-spreading the creep down the center. Well, it's 112 to 11-1 supply, which is a bit disastrous here for Solar, who has now lost 20,000 more resources. 1,093 Zerglings, let alone however many ended up as Banelings. He still has 2,700 gas, so I predict some more infestors in the future. A couple lurkers on the way, but Solar was playing a... You gonna talk about it, Lucille? This wasn't my job! It's all of our jobs, comrade. Well, then why are you accosting me? Because it's not my fault. You're contradicting yourself again. No, you stop right now. People are gonna think this is weird. You're creeping them out. That's also our job. I don't... Sorry. I blacked out for a moment. Infestor Lurker has Solar pulled back. He knocked Maru down to what, 8 SCVs, something like that? Maru has maybe 8 mineral patches left to mine from. Go into the full bean counter phase. Solar has mined 67,000 minerals to 50,000. 17k lead. 17,000 gas to 14. Which, of course, he's spent at least that much more so far. Maru has... There were times where it looked close, but the lack of infestors when the ghosts started hitting the field. And oh no! The Vipers get EMP'd, controlling Vipers and infestors, but the ghosts are ripped apart. The fungal was enough. But 2 of the most fragile units in the entire game, and also the most important. If only they... Wouldn't it be ridiculous if they had a gun or something? But Maru knows his strengths, and he's playing to him. A Raven on the way. The lengths and the trials and tribulations that you must go through to get a Terran to build a Raven. But at this extreme late game, when the income is back into the triple digits, especially for Maru, which is less than 1 full base of mining, the Raven becomes a valuable option yet again. Solar is mined out of 3-4 bases. He got a trickle of patches. He isn't even mining the gas from the rich Vespine base, which seems a little bit of an oversight. A few Zerglings over to the left side. There's only 5 ghosts remaining, 12 Lurkers. I think Solar has, despite his losses and his struggles, he was playing for a different phase of the game than Maru was. He was playing to end this by the time he was mining out of the first 4 bases. But the price you pay if you don't, through all the fire and fury, is leaving yourself in this situation. And if you cut too many corners, especially with the unit composition, you might leave yourself without an edge. And now Maru is slowly but surely mining. We've seen Maru not too long ago. I think it was maybe the last video where Maru showed the cost effectiveness of the extreme Terran late game. This is not the same. He cannot max out. He doesn't have unlimited scans and mules. He doesn't have control of the map. He might have the army supply, but Solar, he pulled up as he was scraping off the ground out of the nosedive of cost efficiency into the much more palatable yet significantly slower cruise control of Lurker. And that doesn't really work. This is one of the most complicated unit compositions to manage on both sides. The Ghost bio with Ravens up against Infestors. This is the other late game. And now we're both here. Solar has survived long enough. Maru trying to take another base. Solar cannot abide. But the bio army's moving up. Denying the base to the north is helpful, but I think not as critical as denying a fresh one. As Mount Mule is being climbed, the Lurkers move forward, will eviscerate 2 of the tanks. And remember, Maru did not have... Just now with the burrow. Solar, a day late and 100 gas short, but better late. Significantly better to be late than never. The burrow for the Infestors. Obviously, the Lurkers come with it, but that's a changeling. I think he needs to be mining from that rich Vespine, but Solar has successfully... It's so hard to do this as Zerg. Usually you either overrun the wall of Terran and surround it, gut them from the inside out, or you run directly into it, and you can't transition into this much more cost-efficient army. Rarely in a single game do we get the hyper-aggressive attrition-based Zerg and the Infestor Turtle Zerg. Not really exactly that, but the super late-game army composition. But Maru did so much aggression and then pulled back, but Solar had so much economy by the time he did. Means we're left in this scenario where I know not what the next engagement will be fought with. But the one after that will be fought with SCVs and whatever few Marines and Zerglings are left. The Lurker's on the low ground, trying to get high ground vision. The Raven there. The Lurker's deciding, actually, that's going to be a no from me, dog. Spreading out. Nice spread on the Zerglings to draw out the Widowmine hits. The creep continuing to just surge its way forward. Half a dozen creep tumors at a time metastasizing across. As Maru has been left without as much. He can't afford to use scans and to drop a stable of mules simultaneously. And now the times of plenty have ended. We've entered the bean counter phase. Most entirely, yes. Why did I struggle? Why of that? Why of that word? I feel like I'm having a stroke. Of genius as another Nidus comes into the bottom left corner. 2 Lurkers come out. Maru looking the other way. There's the scan. If it was a second later, he could have lost so much of the bile, but doesn't end up doing so. EMP knocks out all the energy of the Vipers. Solar struggling to bring the double spellcaster together, but he has 115 creep tumors and counting. Another Nidus. That's a changeling. Wait, did he spot it? The vision is a little odd here. I think he caught a glimpse with like a medevac or something. Stim's down. And so the economies have scraped back up. Bit by bite by bit. As the mules will drop, Maru has claimed the bottom left corner. And he's starting to stabilize, which bodes ill for the Zerg. But Solar has rebuilt up to 51 drones and is mining from the entirety of the top right as well. The fact that he has that direct 12 o'clock base, we'll call it 12:30, all right? A late lunch. Actually, I have no idea what time people eat lunch. Anti-armor missile, fungal thrown out. Banelings melt the front line, but there's far too much DPS here. The Lurkers will pop through the Nidus and delay this further. There's not that many ghosts. He activates the cloak, gets back inside. One of them doesn't make it, but acceptable losses. Another ghost cloak. Zergling counterattack. And, wow. The game has completely... The map is cloven in twain. We cut it almost, well, Solar was taking more than his fair share. I did not expect the map to end up as a vertical slice, as opposed to a horizontal one, but just the way the Baneling crumbles, I guess. And these rocks, I feel like Solar missed some real opportunities to make his life significantly easier. But then again, isn't that Zerg in a nutshell? There's only so much you can do at once. The single siege tank, but the Lurkers will burrow down. Just enough vision to take it out. There's no defenses. The Nidus counter while holding the center, and Solar will surge forward yet again. A couple siege tanks. Widowmines doing terrible, terrible damage. Fungal thrown out. Maru dodges back, but he'll lose the orbital command as Solar continues to creep his way forward in every sense of the term. More ghosts. The Lurkers. Only one survivor, but a few more SCVs taken down. The war continues. What a game that I think war is maybe the only description. It's a rare game that I think could be described by it, where it feels like 3 games slapped together in a trench coat. But Solar is closing in. He gets several of the ghosts. Still a costly fight. Here comes the rest of the bio. Solar is digging very deep here. Possibly too greedily. There's not enough energy. The Vipers wander too far forward. He got too deep. Oh no! He loses the Infestors, the Vipers, the most important units. He smelled blood in the water. But it was a fake. He bought some blood off Timu and convinced the Zerg otherwise. Another Widowmine gonna unsiege the tank far too late. Nidus at the back. But Maru still has a supply lead, just barely. Another Lurker comes through. Some slices already softened up the SCVs, and now the rest will finish them off. Several... Ooh, I think that Lurker was worth it. Meanwhile, the Zerglings are cutting off the reinforcements. And more Infestors in production. The income, once again, is sliding ever so slightly towards Solar. And Maru has mined out of like 5 bases. He's long distance mining from others. Yet another command center gonna get ping cushioned by the Hydralisks. The creep at halfway across the map. There are so many creep tumors, they are actually a bit of a stopping block where the units have to take time to take them out. They have some of the least HP of anything in the game, but the sheer quantity. Maru still with the army supply lead. The medevacs really desperate for Caduceus Reactor and some repair, but they're not going to get it. A fungal, a great one, might be able to chain it together. Another one at the back. There's only 2 ghosts. There's only 2 infestors, but the Raven's still doing a great job. Anti-armor missile whips out a couple. Raven knocked down. Hatchery taken out. Zergling counterattack simultaneously. Ling's coming in. Not enough. He's pulling back. Still enough energy on the infestor. Ling's cutting off the economy. Maru is going for the throne right now. Do or die. And it's very likely one of those things will happen almost immediately upon this fight. Solar retreats again. He gives up the base. The orbital will burn. 2 SCVs. Maru has 22 minerals. Maru has 94 supply, 92 of which is his army. Solar has cut off everything. But Maru, it's just a flesh wound. He still has the army. Solar's at 20. He might have the drones, but he doesn't have the bases to mine from. A huge fungal down the center, but the ghost retreat back in time. There's no more fungals. The DPS of the Terran army is still too damn high. The medevacs will keep everything intact, and Solar bit off way more than he could chew. Solar has 53 drones and almost no income. He's mostly long-distance mining. His army, the infestors survived. He burrowed back. In this, we're in the end times now. Production tab is useless. Get it off the screen. The units tab less useless, as it's a near permanent fixture. Saves a single tank with a medevac. A couple mules mining the Zerglings. We'll find it. He burrowed a Ling / had a drone at these bases. The long distance mining will be cut off as he once again crosses the halfway mark in the creep out in front. 3 orbital commands remain. A singular Lurker. But that will force the scans. The Raven was taken out of the last fight. 1 SCV! Though, of course, mules are still an opportunity. 1 of the orbitals is in the air. 2 of the orbitals are in the air. Only the main base. He has no scan right now for that Lurker. There's no way to see it. 1 Lurker is not the end. Oh, he lines up a shot. The Marauders. The Queens! Hold it together! No, he lost the Lurker! One job, Brenda! Right up. The Lurker. Solar can't know for sure how terrible this situation is, the detection situation for Maru. But he has to have some suspicions. He's trying to land orbitals wherever they are. Oh, those rocks may end up working for Solar by the end of the day. 39 minutes in, under 100 supply. 1 SCV for Maru. Solar has 42 drones and none of them are near a base right now. A fungal on the back line. Maru accidentally loads up. The Queen's pulled into the fight. 1 siege tank holding the line, but not long enough. The infestor wanders in. The Queen, the Lurkers, the unit count dwindles. 24 supply left for Maru. The Zergling counter. Solar holds it together, but he's still the army. 5 Hydralisks, 1 Lurker, 4 Queens, and 13 Zerglings. 1,580 Zerglings have died in this slobber knocker, in this disaster piece. There's only going to be a couple dozen more either way. The army of Maru is 3 Marines, 3 Marauders, a Ghost, and 5 medevacs. He's long-distance mining with mules. Maru's not dead. You might wonder how and why. I love that Solar has already mined enough. Well, if he doesn't hold this base, he's building 1 Lurker at a time. Bringing the Overlords. If he has any spores or spines, it might be time to bring them as well. A few Marines were built, but the Zerglings cut them off. The fact that this is a 4-minute in the game thing. We're microing 8 Zerglings against like 3 Marines and a Marauder. Maru has 0 SCVs. He's basing his entire economy on automation, which is precarious at best. The income, the y-axis is tiny because the incomes are so small. But Solar will be mining from a base near a set of minerals for the first time in like 10 minutes. He's mining gas. He never... Well, he did. He actually mined out 2,000 of this gas. The total. 53,000 to 75,000. But Solar mined 25k more minerals. 1,000 more gas. But that's almost exactly the amount more he's lost. Maru is back up to 2 SCVs. Infinitely more than he had a minute ago. But the fact is, Solar has a mining base. I guess technically Maru does as well. And Maru has resigned himself to just trying to hold. But does he know about the base to the north? No, but there has to be a reason why Solar isn't attacking. The thing is, the army supply, those medevacs could really use a repair. There's 1 ghost, 2 lurkers. No infestors. The Vipers and infestors have had a real tough game. Oh, he saw the drones transferring. He knows that base is there. He knows he must fight. But he has the high ground, Maru. Don't try it. What else can he do? 3 lurkers. Enough to ward away any but the most perfect micro. The queens have full energy, and they've been ready for so long. The Zergling counter again. A single Widowmine manages to take out every single one. A single SCV remains. More drones taken down. He could just kill the entire tech tree, and he may just go for it. The counterattack. Are there enough Zerglings to overrun this? Yes and no. It depends on the position. Maru? Oh, he stims back. He's trying to retreat to that 1 Widowmine. But Solar is aware of the situation. Back to 0 SCVs. The Widowmine split, and it's not enough. The Nidus network is taken out. Maru. He's gonna cut the tech tree back down to the stump, but the second spawning bull of the game, in a game that's felt like it should have had at least 4. The entire main base. The Widowmines. He's still... The Banelings. The reinforcements are cut off. And with the most anticlimactic possible end, yet I think somehow an appropriate one. With knowing that there are multiple lurkers, knowing that he has a grand total of 3 orbital commands, of which usually only 1 or 2 are landed, knowing that Solar is clearly mining from at least 1 base, Maru knows that after 44 minutes, with the timer rolling over to having an hour marker because it still thinks we're in StarCraft time, it just got converted in Legacy of the Void, after 1,600 Zerglings, 69,000 resources lost by Maru, 94,000 by Solar. Apparently, it wasn't enough. 14 hatcheries, 10 command centers, 1 game. I really thought it would settle down into one of those games, like the either Super Midgame where the Terran gets rolled over, or Maru successfully turtles up and then we get the ghost firing line, but we had both, and it ended with neither. Even a single Raven. Solar 1-0. I mean, well, how do you load up the game again after that? I expect with these players as quickly as possible. I have a feeling that the next game started in less than a minute. So let's follow through on that. Game 2. Solar versus Maru. Solar survives. The most Zerglings. Every base on the map mined. Most of them mined out. The constant give and take. Game of the year. The best game of the year since the last time Maru played TVZ. He just creates these... It's because he doesn't rely on that mid-game aggression. So when he dies, it's dramatic. And when he wins, it's even more so. Now it's this time I remind you to like and subscribe, so that way you can watch other players stress themselves out more than most people's day jobs. So you don't have to. Let's be honest here. What was the last... no! I can insult them, alright? They made it to the second game. I don't care if they were complaining in the comments. Carol Goodall. Sorry. Well, there's a very... It is a much higher than 0 chance we do it all again. With these two. Both clearly gearing up for the extreme late game. And both apparently well enough equipped for it. Solar truly demonstrating why he's the Rocky Zerg. How many rounds he will go. Just to survive. No matter how many hits, no matter how many literally thousands of Zerglings die. He still finds enough resources for a few more. So it was Zergling speed on the way. Maru with 2 command centers. Even before reactor. There we go. Very similar build. Let's see if he follows up with the racks. Indeed he does. Meanwhile, Solar securing those 3 bases with exactly enough gas to get Zergling speed, and then falling back to minerals to maximize the early defense, because it's all about the queens and the langs and the drones. There's really nothing you need gas for until you want to get upgrades, but because Zerg has to use those drones as part of their... just to build buildings. So getting more gas geysers is already cutting into your economy, even beforehand. Churlish, insubordinate, come back here. Yes! No! Brenda, are you okay? I'm gonna put that down as a make. Ah! Sorry. I am blacked out for a moment. Maru is doing the... He's looking like innovation right now. Say, this is my build. There are many like it. But this one's mine. It's almost pound for pound, and is Solar really... There's a Baneling nest on the way. He's making 18. Is he really gonna bust him? Is it busting time? Oh, he's busting. Now, Maru's doing exactly the same thing. There's that single Reaper, whole bunch of Zerglings, which, not a surprising thing to see, but the simple fact here is he's gonna see the Marines. He's figured it out. He knows this is exactly the same build. He's gambling that Maru's just gonna do the same build. It is hubris. He will go for an identical build again, and 11 Banelings are morphing And of the times, so when you don't go for Hellions, when you don't go for Banshees, you don't even have siege tanks or bunkers, you're uniquely vulnerable to the bust. And here we go. The Banelings waddling in, but there's no stim, no upgrades, no buildings to stop them as they blast through the depots. And it may have taken the better part of an hour to end Maru in the last game, but it'll take but a fraction in this one. As Solar busts down the door, rips apart the SCVs, and takes the series just like that. One second away from the upgrades completing in 2 games from taking the series. Maru busted out of the game. And me, other places. Well, that is a good demonstration of the dynamic nature of StarCraft 2 and why it's sometimes so hard to schedule tournaments. As both games could be a 5-minute bust or both could be a test of how long it takes to mine out. But I'm glad you were here for both. And Jimmy. And hopefully it made your day just a little bit better. Thank you again to the SC Boys, the Chinese organization that put on the Thunderfire All-Stars, putting on the Rongyi Cup. The grand finals, offline finals, will be mid-February. I'm hoping to cast live, but either way, gonna get the games here as well. But we'll see which player makes it through. But hopefully it made your day a little bit better. And if you got the means of motivation, be awesome to check out Patreon or YouTube membership. But I hear liking and subscribing is still free, at least for now. So thank you to our meal tier patrons. Maru could have used some more, but Big Jiggy, Devendor, Kate, Mario, Soup, glad you still enjoy. And make sure to check out this video. Not everyone, not just them, but them first. That Jimmy picked out for you. Otherwise, thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Good luck, have fun. Stay chill.